Have you ever wished to become someone completely unshakable? Someone who no longer breaks under criticism, rejection, betrayal, or loss. Maybe you smile in front of others while something heavy keeps burning quietly inside you. Maybe you are exhausted from pretending to be strong all the time. If that feeling sounds familiar, this journey is for you. Because the strength you are searching for is not outside. It begins the moment you face what is happening within you. Many people secretly dream about the day when pain stops controlling their emotions. The day when harsh words don't echo in their mind all night. The day when rejection no longer feels like proof that they are not enough. But most never reach that place because they try to escape pain instead of understanding it. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. The more you run from pain, the more power it gains over your life. You may think the world hurts you. People disappoint you, abandon you, or speak words that cut deep. But external events alone rarely create suffering. What truly hurts is the reaction they awaken inside you. Old memories, unhealed wounds, and silent fears rise to the surface. These inner echoes transform small moments into overwhelming pain, making it feel as if the world itself is attacking you. Think about it carefully. Two people can experience the same situation, yet one reigns calm while the other collapses emotionally. The difference is not the event. The difference is what already lives inside them. Pain attaches itself to wounds that were never fully understood. When something touches those hidden places, the reaction becomes intense, confusing, and sometimes uncontrollable. Another uncomfortable truth waits here. Many people still believe they can control how others treat them. They try to become perfect enough, kind enough, strong enough so that no one will hurt them. But life does not work that way. Control over others is an illusion. When you depend on it, you live in constant tension, trying to predict every situation and avoid every possible disappointment. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control the world. Instead of forcing reality to behave in a certain way, you begin to understand yourself. You start asking deeper questions. Why do certain words affect you so strongly? Why does rejection feel unbearable? Why do some memories still return again and again? These questions open the door to real transformation. Inside every person exists a hidden world that influences thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Much of it operates silently, beneath awareness. Experiences from the past, fears you tried to forget, and emotions you never allowed yourself to feel still live there. Even if you ignore them, they continue shaping how you see the world and how you respond to people around you. This hidden world is powerful. It can turn a simple comment into a painful memory. It can create anger that seems to appear from nowhere. It can trigger sadness on days when everything looks fine on the surface. When you are unaware of these internal forces, life begins to feel like fate controlling you rather than choices you truly understand. Ignoring your inner world does not remove it. Instead, it finds other ways to express itself. It appears in repeated toxic relationships. It appears in self-sabotage when things finally start going well. It appears as anxiety, fear, or emotional exhaustion. These patterns are not random. They are signals from parts of yourself that still need attention and understanding. Many people spend years blaming circumstances for their suffering. They blame other people, bad luck, or the past. But deep change starts when you shift your attention inward. Instead of asking why the world hurts you, you begin asking why certain experiences affect you so strongly. This shift does not make life easier immediately, but it gives you the power to grow. Real strength does not come from pretending nothing affects you. Some people build emotional walls and call it toughness. They say they do not care anymore. But inside those walls, unresolved pain continues to grow. Suppressed emotions slowly turn into bitterness, emptiness, or silent frustration that eventually finds a way to escape. True emotional resilience is very different. It does not mean ignoring pain. it means understanding it. When you learn to recognize what you are feeling and why you are feeling it, emotions stop controlling you blindly. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin observing your reactions with clarity. Imagine watching your emotions the way you watch waves in the ocean. They rise, they move, and eventually they fall. When you identify completely with every wave, you drown in them. But when you observe them, you realize they are temporary. They carry messages about your inner world, not permanent truths about who you are. Self-awareness slowly transforms your relationship with pain. Instead of seeing it as an enemy, you start recognizing it as information. Every strong reaction points to something inside that still needs attention. Pain becomes less like a punishment and more like a signal guiding you toward deeper understanding. For many people, this idea feels uncomfortable at first. They were taught that pain should be avoided at all costs. They learn to distract themselves, stay busy, or pretend everything is fine. But avoidance never heals anything. It only delays the moment when those emotions demand to be faced. When you finally stop running away from yourself, something powerful happens. The emotions that once felt overwhelming begin to make sense. You start recognizing patterns that existed for years without your awareness. Situations that once confused you suddenly reveal their deeper meaning. Self-knowledge is not always comfortable. Sometimes it forces you to admit things about yourself that you would rather ignore. Insecurity, jealousy, fear, or anger may appear. But acknowledging these parts does not make you weak. It makes you honest, and honesty is the beginning of psychological freedom. Many people spend their lives trying to appear strong to others. They hide their fears behind confidence and hide their sadness behind smiles. Over time, this mask becomes exhausting. Maintaining an image requires constant energy, and eventually the pressure becomes impossible to carry. Real transformation begins when you allow the mask to fall. When you stop pretending to be perfect, you create space for something much more powerful, authentic growth. Instead of protecting an image, you begin building genuine strength from self-understanding. At this stage, you realize that becoming emotionally stable does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean ignoring people or refusing to care. Instead, it means knowing yourself deeply enough that other people's actions no longer control your identity. When you understand your own fears and insecurities, criticism loses much of its power. Words may still sting for a moment, but they no longer define your worth. You listen, evaluate, and move forward without collapsing under the weight of someone else's opinion. Rejection also begins to look different. Instead of seeing it as proof that something is wrong with you, you recognize it as part of life. Not every connection is meant to continue, and not every opportunity is meant to stay. This realization removes much of the emotional pressure surrounding failure. Loss remains painful, but it no longer destroys your sense of self. When your identity is rooted in deep self-knowledge rather than external validation, difficult experiences become chapters of growth rather than permanent wounds. This process requires courage because it involves confronting parts of yourself you avoided for years. But every time you face one of those hidden pieces, you reclaim a little more control over your life. Gradually, the chaos inside you becomes clearer and more manageable. The journey of inner awareness often feels lonely at first. Not everyone is willing to look inward with honesty. Many people prefer comfort and distraction. But those who choose self-understanding begin developing a quiet confidence that does not depend on constant approval. That confidence does not shout for attention. It is calm, steady, and deeply rooted. It grows from knowing who you are beyond achievements, beyond mistakes, and beyond the roles you play for others. When you reach this level of clarity, emotional reactions slow down. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause. You observe what is happening both outside and inside. This pause creates space for wiser decisions. Over time, you notice something remarkable. Situations that once triggered intense emotions begin to lose their grip. The same words that once kept you awake all night now pass through your mind without leaving deep scars. This does not mean you stop feeling. You still experience joy, sadness, anger, and love. The difference is that these emotions no longer control your direction. They become experiences rather than chains. Pain also begins to reveal its hidden role. Many of your deepest insights were born from difficult moments. Times of confusion forced you to question old beliefs and discover new understanding about yourself. Instead of fearing suffering, you begin to see it as part of transformation. Growth often requires leaving familiar patterns behind. Letting go of old identities, habits, and expectations can feel uncomfortable, but it creates space for a more authentic life. Every time you confront a painful truth, you strengthen your inner stability. You become less dependent on external validation and more connected to your own values and understanding. Eventually, you realize that emotional resilience is not built in a single moment. It grows slowly through consistent awareness. Each honest reflection, each difficult realization, and each moment of courage adds another layer of stability. People around you may notice the change. You seem calmer in situations that once overwhelmed you. You respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Your presence becomes steady even when circumstances are uncertain. This stability does not come from emotional armor. It comes from clarity. You know your patterns, your fears, and your strengths. Because you understand them, they no longer surprise or control you. When life presents challenges, you face them with awareness rather than panic. You accept that pain is sometimes unavoidable, but suffering becomes temporary instead of permanent. At this point, criticism becomes information rather than an attack. Rejection becomes redirection rather than humiliation. Loss becomes a painful teacher rather than a life-ending tragedy. The world may still bring storms, but those storms no longer determine your identity. You remain connected to your inner center, a place built through honesty, awareness, and acceptance. This is the real meaning of becoming emotionally unshakable. It is not about avoiding pain or controlling others. It is about understanding yourself so deeply that external events cannot easily break your inner foundation. The journey begins with one simple decision: choosing awareness over avoidance. Each time you look inward with honesty, you move closer to a life where emotions no longer control you blindly. The world may still challenge you, but it will no longer define you. Real strength appears when you stop running from yourself and finally begin to understand who you truly are. When you continue this journey of awareness, something subtle begins to change. You stop searching outside for constant validation. The need to prove yourself slowly fades. You start realizing that peace does not come from winning every argument or gaining everyone's approval. Real peace appears when you feel comfortable with your own truth, even if others misunderstand it. At this stage, silence becomes powerful. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself to everyone. Not every opinion deserves your energy, and not every conflict requires your response. You begin to choose your battles carefully. This quiet discipline protects your mind from unnecessary emotional storms. You also start noticing how much energy you once spent worrying about things beyond your control. Other people's choices, opinions, and behaviors used to dominate your thoughts. But now you understand that your responsibility lies only in your actions, your reactions, and your awareness. With this realization, emotional independence grows stronger. Your mood no longer depends entirely on how others treat you. Compliments feel good, but they are no longer necessary for your confidence. Criticism may still appear, but it does not destroy your sense of worth. You begin to respect your own boundaries. Instead of forcing yourself to remain in harmful situations, you step back when something threatens your mental peace. This is not selfishness. It is self-respect. Protecting your inner balance becomes one of your highest priorities. Gradually, you discover a deeper sense of stability. Life still moves through highs and lows, but you remain centered through both. Success does not inflate your ego, and failure does not erase your identity. Your sense of self becomes stronger than temporary circumstances. People who meet you may sense this quiet strength. You are not trying to impress anyone, yet your presence feels grounded and calm. This calmness is the result of countless moments where you chose understanding over reaction. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that your inner world is the only place where true control exists. You cannot shape every event in life, but you can shape how you understand and respond to those events. From this perspective, life becomes less of a battlefield and more of a journey of discovery. Every experience, pleasant or painful, reveals something about yourself. Each moment becomes an opportunity to deepen awareness rather than defend your ego. In the end, becoming unshakable is not about eliminating pain or becoming emotionally distant. It is about building a level of awareness where nothing outside can easily control your inner state. When you understand yourself deeply, criticism loses its poison, rejection loses its power, and fear loses its authority. And in that clarity, you finally discover a quiet strength that remains steady no matter what life brings.